Today I want to talk about cognates. I mentioned them yesterday in the video that I did about non-Spanish speakers not um, eliminating Armenia as a place to retire to because they didn't have Spanish. My name is William Hutchison. I am the owner of Armenia Colombia Realty for expats as well as Salento Colombia Realty along with my wife. I've lived in Colombia for 13 years. This coming October, and in Armenia for 12. The Salento Colombia Realty is not up yet. It's a webpage under construction, but you can get our blog and current listings if you just add .com to Armenia Colombia Realty for expats. This is probably the most important video that I've done. It's very important for people that have either know or maybe a basic Spanish language capability, because it gives you 29 rules that you can follow that will translate English words into Spanish. The words are called cognates. And I'm just going to read off the link that I'm going to leave you. It's the best link that I've found. I've searched a couple of times, and this one is absolutely outstanding. It organizes them in alphabetical order and then gives you examples. Cognates are a great way to learn English and Spanish. Cognates are words in Spanish and English that share the same Latin and/or Greek root and are very similar in spelling and have the same or similar meaning. About 90% of Spanish cognates have the same meaning in English. This similarity provides a built-in vocabulary base that transfers over when learning Spanish vocabulary. In a technical sense, two words that have a common origin are cognates. Most often, cognates are words in two languages that have a common etymology and thus are similar or identical. Simply identifying the cognates that transfer from English to Spanish gives you the knowledge of thousands of vocabulary words that you already know, albeit with minor differences in spelling and pronunciation. Now, since there's 29 rules, I've only selected 4 at random, and I'm going to give you some examples of how this works. I suggest that you get onto this website. You have a lot of words now that you can easily transfer into Spanish. And if you're speaking to someone, have confidence using the rule that the word you know in English and want to transfer to Spanish is correct. Let me give you words that end in AL. And AL in English also finishes AL in Spanish, although the pronunciation, as in other parts of these rules, might be different. Most of you probably know that the E at the end of a word in Spanish is pronounced A. It isn't silent as it is in English. So let's look at 3 or 4 words. The first one is accidental, AL, exactly the same in Spanish. Casual, on Spanish pronounced casual, but spelled exactly the same. Digital, digital on Spanish, and functional, funcional. The T in functional is SH pronunciation in English, where it is an S in Spanish. In that category, there's 29 words. You know one rule, and instantly you have 29 English words transferred to Spanish. You don't even have to learn anything here. All you have to remember is AL is the same. And there's a couple of other categories that also fit that sort of a pattern. Let's look at BLE. BLE is the same as AL. So you have double on Spanish, doble. The U is dropped, as there might be some minor differences in these things, and the pronunciation can be different. Favorable, favorable. The V in Spanish is pronounced as a B, and once again it's ble because the E at the end is not silent, it's pronounced as an A. Incredible, increíble. The D is dropped, and that's the pronunciation. Incredible, increíble. Sensible, sensibly. So AL and BLE combined, BLE gives you 24 words. Now you've got two rules. Nothing has changed. You haven't learned anything. All you have to do is remember AL and BLE remain the same. And now you have 53 words in Spanish. What could be easier? The next one I want to look at is ARY, A-R-Y, and it converts to A-R-I-O. So essentially the Y changes to I-O, but you have to have the A-R to qualify that the Y does change to I-O, because there's words in English with just the Y where the preceding letters are different that will not convert. So A-R to A-R-I-O. Canary, canario. Diary, diario. Ordinary, ordinario. And salary, salario. Very simple. You have another 15 words. A-R-Y to A-R-I-O. The last one I'm going to do, because you can spend the time in the link. I suggest that you have these cold because you have a tremendous start with cognates. Iffy, I-F-Y, becomes iffy car. So the I-F-Y changes to I-F-I, and you add car, but the pronunciation isn't going to be any different. So you have certify, certificar. Falsify, falsificar. Modify, modificar. Simplify, simplificar. And verify, verificar. Very, very easy. In that category, 20 words. So here we have, in this example that I've put together, a total of 88 words. You have to know 4 rules. 2 don't change. The AL and the BLE are consistent. They're the same in English as they are in Spanish. So by learning 2 rules, you've just learned 88 words. There are 29 of these. I believe they will give you about 1,500 words in Spanish that you already know, and it's much simpler learning 29 rules than it is 1,500 words. I'll leave the link below. I've been here 13 years. My Spanish is probably intermediate level. I'm going to myself get into this again to refresh my memory, because I know probably 18 or 20 off the top of my head. I use them frequently. I don't want to say daily, but some days I may not use them, and other days I might use 4 of them. But I want to make sure that I have the 29 cold. It's going to take some time. There's no question about that. You have to memorize the change. They're fairly consistent. There's maybe a few that aren't going to work, but I think in most cases in conversation you can use these rules with confidence and feel as though you're correct. William Hutchison, Armenia Columbia Realty for Expats, and Salento Columbia Realty. I live in paradise, and you can too.